was writing notes for this video, I started writing the title and put I am a, and then I got distracted and went to do something else, and let me tell you, that's a dangerous half sentence to come back to because there are many ways of completing it, not all of them good. What I was actually going to say is that I am a bit of a bookworm. I just really love books. If there is one thing I really love, it's just curling up with a good book. It's one of my favourite ways to de-stress, chill out and just switch off from the real world for a little while. It always has been, right from when I was a kid.
This is fascinating! Wah.
As a little girl, it was The Worst Witch by Jill Murphy that turned me from a kid who quite liked reading into a kid who loved reading and also wanted to write her own books. In fact, I freely admit that my own children's novel, Isabella, is pretty heavily influenced by that book, not least because the title character of Isabella is loosely based on a character that I used to draw and write stories about when I was a little girl, and that character, Molly Mischief, if I remember correctly, I know, great name, right, was very heavily based on Mildred Hubble. And that's one of the biggest things I love about books. They can not only be entertainment or a way of escaping reality for a while, but they can really influence you too. One of the biggest reasons I wanted to write for children was actually because I wanted to be responsible for trying to encourage that love of reading from an early age and to make children use their imaginations more. Yes, bit of a lofty ambition, I know. Behold, boys and girls, these are just 2 of the tomes that will set your curiosity alight and fill your soul with literary wonder. A good book can make you laugh or cry. In fact, a really great book will have you doing both within a matter of pages. It's amazing how your mind can conjure up images from just the words on the page, and you can imagine characters and places that suddenly feel incredibly real. That's why if you're somebody who loves to read, you can find yourself really loving or completely loathing a totally fictional character. And I guess that's just the same as it would be if you're watching TV or a film. It's just that instead of the action being literally in front of you on a screen, you're having to try and make it up in your own mind using your imagination, and I love that. I would say I will try most kinds of books, most genres. I'm not snobbish. I will read most things. The only ones I really don't like are stories that are very formulaic. If they're too predictable, I lose interest really quickly. So I want a book to interest me and hold that interest. I don't want to be reading it and thinking, yeah, I can definitely tell what's going to happen next. I also don't like it if a book has characters that are just really abusive but never get called out for their actions, or where a character is misogynistic or racist or homophobic and that's just acceptable in the book. No, it's not acceptable in real life, so why should it be flipping acceptable in literature? No. I also have a bit of an issue if a book has a tone that I just find difficult to get into, or the language they use is very pretentious. I just want a good story. If I'm trying to read something and it's obvious that the author has basically swallowed a thesaurus and just spat out as many long words as possible to make them sound intelligent, I tend to lose interest because I'm just like, nah. That is a technical book review term. And of course there is the ultimate book that I absolutely hate, loathe and despise and will want to banish from the earth for the rest of my life, and that is of course 50 Shades of Grey. Why, I hear you ask? You've just said how much you love reading, and that book encouraged loads of women who don't normally read to go out and buy books. Yeah, but it also had a revolting, abusive, misogynistic, stalking piece of crap as its title character, and we were supposed to forgive him his horrible behaviour because he had a sad childhood. Yeah, he was just a piece of shit. And we were presented with an abusive relationship and told to aspire to that as an ideal relationship, and just no, there's nothing loving about stalking someone or tracking their phone, or there's no excuse for any of that. I hate it. I hate the books. I hate Christian Grey as a fictional character, and I actually hate E.L. James for the fact that when people like myself who've actually been in abusive relationships came out and said, wow, I read this book and it really triggered me because basically the person who abused me has been turned into a romantic hero in this book, she was basically like, no, he's not abusive, you're lying, you don't know what abuse is, and so were her fans, and yeah. That's not good. If somebody who's actually lived through abuse tells you what you've written is basically their experience but romanticised, listen to them. She can just go away, please. And Christian Grey, wow. There are plenty of women who have a long list of things they'd like to do to Christian Grey, and for me there's really just one thing. Oh, Mr. Grey, there's something terribly naughty I'd like to do to you. Okay, went off on a bit of a rant there. A book is capable of making you feel so much emotion, and there are people out there who are like, oh, I just hate reading, it's really boring, and I don't really understand that, because I picture everything that's happening in the story in my head and it's like watching a film. Maybe I've just got a very active imagination, I don't know, but I love that a book can make me feel such strong emotions, even when they're negative emotions. Doesn't mean I like the book or the author for making me feel that way, but I'm impressed that words on a page can cause that. The fact is that just like a piece of music or a particular scene in a film can make you feel things, can make you cry, or can stay with you because you can really relate to it, so can a story, and so can an end scene in a novel, or a character that you think, wow, this is someone just like me. Books are awesome. Currently, I'm going through a bit of a phase of rereading old books that I've not read since I was a teenager, or reading classics that I never got around to reading up until now, or my current favourite thing to do, just waltzing into my sister's room and taking a book off her shelves, because she has loads that I've never read. I've also read the first two His Dark Materials books this year and loved them, so I really am itching to get my hands on the third one. I just really like reading. Life is stressful. The outside world is stressful. There's loads of things going on in the world that can make you feel angry or sad or just negative in general. It's nice to just put social media to one side, the news to one side, pick up a book and disappear into an entirely different world for half an hour, or sometimes, if it's a really good book, several hours, and next thing you know it's 1 a.m. and you're wondering why you haven't gone to sleep yet. Yeah, I've done that a few times. I just really like reading. What about you? Are you a bookworm as well, or are you one of these people that really hates reading? If you are, tell me why, because I kind of want to understand that mindset. Enlighten me, please. If you enjoyed this video, you can feel free to give it a thumbs up. You can click on my floaty head if you'd like to subscribe. Feel free to leave me book recommendations in the comments and I will try and check them all out. And last week's video is over here. I'm going to go and curl up with a book. Talk to you next week. Bye!